What went well? Oh man, I guess their allegories. Their allegories were amazing, which were a 5 to 7 page paper that they had to pick a historical topic of their choice off of a list that was core knowledge topics that they've learned in history classes. And so they were able to pull from their own lives anything they pretty much wanted to write their allegories in. And so they were just so creative. One student wrote an allegory using raspberries and blueberries as two different countries who were at war. Another wrote an allegory on 9/11 using the clouds as characters. And it was funny, like she would have a cloud that had a tiny bladder, and so it rained all the time. It was just details and things like that. There was another kid too who wrote an allegory on, I think, World War II using candy. And so Tic Tacs were bullets and Red Hots were grenades, and all of these different things it was just so much fun, and I was actually laughing my way through that even though it was a heavy topic. So their creativity shined. It was so much fun to read them. I couldn't put them down in a lot of cases. Honors did great, regulars did great. They shined so well here because I think it was an outlet for their creativity. During third quarter, they came back from Christmas and they jumped into the Holocaust Memoir Night by Elie Wiesel, and that's heavy. That is emotional. I cry every time I read it, and that's what they came back on. And then more of the same kind of continued with Animal Farm being another historical text on the Russian Revolution. There's a lot of heavy content, a lot into that book, even though it's a very short book, only 10 chapters, but those chapters are packed with information that has to be unpacked, has to be deconstructed, it has to be explained well. So they know that Napoleon is Stalin and Snowball is Trotsky, and they need to know what that means, and they need to know how that impacts the text as a whole. And so it was just so many layers and so many steps, even though it was a simple text. And so what went well was seeing that they understood that book enough to mimic it in their own writing. Another thing that went well was the post-assessment short constructed responses. On the pretest, they did not apply themselves at all. They barely wrote 2 sentences and called it good. But when it came to the summative, the post-test, they really sat down and they really applied themselves. They had to look at different passages and pull an analysis out of that. They had to make some sort of argument with that and still keep in consideration the text, who was speaking, what greater impact that had on the farm. So a lot of deeper critical thinking, literary analysis, and that grew tremendously from pre-test to post-test. And so I have to give my students a hand. They did great. I am proud of them. So that went really well also. Another thing was just building relationships with them. I can walk into different classes to pull kids out for ELO or just be walking down the hall and they'll be like, "Hey, Miss Shinkle, what's up?" And it's like the best thing ever because they're not embarrassed to say hi. I matter a lot to them, and it shows. And I'm flattered every single time that they do that they care enough to say hi to me and to tell me to have a good day or see you later or whatever. And so I think relationship-wise, it's going very well too, and it just makes me happy. They're a bunch of goofballs, and I love them. But those are some of the celebrations so far during my student teaching.